What's up?
Just waiting for Joe and Melanie, and then we'll get going.
I think Henry got that taken care of with Janine.
He did.
Thank you. I think Brooke had sent the email to Henry and Janine, so.
Oh, good.
Original about saying, since they have any applications, they were just going to do a short meeting.
Well, I reviewed what you sent on the changes we want to make to the code, and it looked right. I want to go over it again just to make sure, but it looked good.
Good. And just for everybody's listening, that was what was attached to the agenda, because we've got several people listening.
Okay.
Melanie, just let me know if you want to get going without Joe or how you'd like to handle this.
I'm calling him right now.
Okay.
I just woke him up. He should be on shortly.
Okay, Melanie, Joe has joined us.
Oh,
You're getting close to my 15-minute rule. And then it's like, might have had to call it. You guys made it. All right. How would you guys like to start today?
Well, I just told Janelle that I reviewed most of her redlining of the code and everything, and I thought it looked good. Have you had a chance to do that, Joe?
that's that's what I think put me to sleep. The main thing I found was on chapter 20, page 20, was about variances, about the whole language for getting the variance through the Board of Adjustment. And as soon as I get my screen back here.
I thought we didn't get to that last time.
We did
I thought
not.
we cut off.
Yeah.
That's where we stopped.
Right. Oops.
And
I think
Joe
we
has
lost
disappeared.
Joe. Oops.
Hello?
Hello?
You're back with us.
Yes.
So the variance section we didn't get to last time. We stopped there.
Okay.
I think Melanie wants to go back over from my understanding, and she can correct me, is discuss what we had gone over the last time and see if there were any issues. And I think she had a few items she wanted to touch on.
Okay. Well, that was it, except the red line changes you made were right on. So that's very good.
Melanie, were there areas you wanted to discuss further?
I wanted to ask about the yellow highlighting that you did on the fill area. What does the yellow mean?
So when we discussed that, and at the last page, there's a little key, it says for future discussion, because I know we kept coming back to wanting to discuss fill. And I think the last time we agreed, we'll just come back to it after we figure out, after council makes a determination on the ordinance that's currently going through the process.
Okay. All right. So we want to talk about variances then.
Okay,
Janelle,
Joe.
question,
Go ahead.
are you going to council with this, or are you going to the planning commission with this?
Well, the process is whatever you guys want to do. If, of course, for a formal process, we have to get an ordinance put together, preferably get it introduced, reviewed by the planning commission, and of course, they'll make a recommendation to council.
Yes.
Right now, we're just kind of looking at things, seeing what you guys want to make changes to, discussing them, and I know as part of the action plan subcommittee, they are looking at prioritization where they want to focus on floodplain regulations in the ordinance.
It's a little unclear to me as to the planning commission heard our presentation on what we had been doing, and they took a vote in support of it. And I thought they were sending something to the council at that time.
Regarding floodplain fill, there's a public hearing scheduled, I believe, November 10th for that proposed ordinance. But if you wanted to make these changes permanent, we'd have to put them in an ordinance form like we did the last one for the floodplain fill, take it back to the commission, and then they'll hold a meeting, make a recommendation, and then council will hold a public hearing, and they'll make a determination.
So the council hearing will be sort of a, this is what we're intending to do, and is this okay with you? And then if they say yes, then we change the regs. Is that the correct order? Is that what I understand?
So no, council will make the decision whether or not to actually change the ordinance. So the commission, what we're doing now is just like, you guys are giving ideas of what you think you want to change. That'll go to the planning commission. They'll review it, make recommendations, make changes, make a recommendation to council. Council will then make the final determination whether or not to approve it. And then and if they do, then the code will change.
So it's really an intent that they're going to vote on the 10th.
No, on the 10th, what they're doing is holding a public hearing on the proposed ordinance for floodplain fill, which was that we discussed for the last several months, that one section about whether no net loss for fill in the floodplain. That's what they're going to be discussing on the 10th.
Okay. All right. All right, so let's get to the variance issues then. The first thing that I saw was under, it would be G2 subletter I, that says the safety of access to the property in times of flood. And I was going to propose the availability of safe access to a property in times of flood. Because one thing we know about Lewis is that a lot of our roads flood, a lot of our main access roads flood.
What's the title of that section?
It's on
Variances.
page 20,
Okay.
under G, number 2, considerations for variance, letter I. And I'm gonna ask Robin a quick question. Robin, are these something that came from FEMA for considerations, or is this something that the city determined to use for consideration for part of the variance process?
It probably came from, I wasn't sure, but again, just in general terms, variances, FEMA does not want you to grant variances. They want you to follow your ordinance. Again, if you grant a variance, that's saying you're not compliant to your ordinance. So it does, in a minor sense, as you could say, they ding us for that. Anytime you grant a variance, it looks poorly on you. Again, but there's also that where you leave that option for a variance. So in general, you kind of want to make it, you don't want to make it an easy path. And I don't want to say it in a bad way, but
It should be a higher level of
Correct.
meeting expectations. There should be usually there's an extreme reason you need to do that.
Right.
I think typically, especially for these types of variances, you want to make sure that there's a strict test that needs to be met to be able to be granted one.
yeah, it appears just from the wording that it kind of is some of this looks like our own wording.
Okay.
It just looks like how it was done. I'm not sure exactly. I'd have to look at the wording and the variances in the regulations. But, just reading some of it, it's, in general terms, some of it must have been from us because it kind of fits the limitations of variance kind of somewhat falls into the same thing as what the Board of Adjustment on a regular area variance talks about. They just put in some of the floodplain wording.
Okay. I just want to make sure we weren't getting into messing with FEMA wording too much.
I can check that just to make sure, but that's in general about variances though. Again,
Okay.
they don't like you issuing variances. Because then it's like,
Right.
well, why do you have your regulations then?
Okay, so Melanie, you wanted to change I to include the availability of safety of access?
Yes.
Okay. What else did you want to change?
Availability and safety of access.
Okay.
Okay, and then I'd like to add another item in that column. So that would be KLM, the provision of mitigation to floodplain impacts.
So the mitigation of floodplain impacts, I'm just typing as we go, so I want to make sure I've got it.
Provision,
Okay.
provision of mitigation, yes.
Okay, what else would you like to make?
I think that was it. Um, Okay, and then, oh, no, I do have more. In number 3A4, I would strike the end of that line, beyond that which is allowed in these regulations.
Okay.
And in number 5, will not result in another item at the end then, loss of floodplain storage capacity.
Okay, you want to add that.
Yes.
Okay.
That's all I have on the variances.
Joe, what do you have?
Well, going back, Robin helped clarify things that it's written in such a way to discourage this because items J and K are just, you know, the expected heights, velocity, duration, rate of rise, sediment transport, floodwaters, and K, the costs of providing government services. I mean, this is just, I mean, this is all wave your magic wand and pull these numbers out of a hat type of thing. This is just an example of trying to prevent any attempt of getting a variance. I mean, it's just extraordinary requirements. I mean, it's just, I want to say it's just impossible to meet this. So why don't we just ban all variances? I mean, it's
Well,
just,
again, this is not,
yeah,
this section is consideration for variances. So it's something that's to be considered.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily, you know, you have to meet all of them. These are just a number of the considerations that should be looked at when a variance comes before them.
mhm. So you can skip on estimating costs of providing government services before and after flooding? I mean,
That would be up to a determination by the Board of Adjustment, what factors they're going to take into consideration and what information they need to make a decision. So
Okay.
we can say, hey, these are things they should look at, and then it all falls on the applicant as to what information they provide. And we're suggesting these are some additional considerations, and then it's up to the applicant to make their argument before the board. But if that's something you want to strike, then we can definitely remove that. If it's something you want to keep or modify, we can do that as well.
let's just keep it in for discussion.
Okay.
Back on here.
Melanie, what do you think about those? Keeping them, losing them, changing them?
I can see Joe's point. On J, if it were a major subdivision, that might be something they could provide information about. I don't know how you go about providing K. I sort of agree with him. I don't know how the private sector could estimate what the cost to the public sector would be. So I do find that one kind of daunting.
We can remove that one. That's not a problem.
Well, take it out then, please.
All right, done. What else do you have?
Well, can you see me? I'm having issues here. Am I on the screen?
Yep.
Okay. I've lost my visual view. The whole thing about keeping definitions in here. I mean, that's something Tom West wanted to collect all the definitions in one chapter. So that could be something flagged for future when we go through the whole planning commission about keeping these definitions here or gathering them all in one new chapter. So that's it for me then.
I was reading through the next section, the enforcement, and I had some issues there. Maybe Robin can help with this. It says on H2, on notice of violation, that the building official is authorized to serve the notice of violation. Shouldn't that be the floodplain administrator?
Well, technically, we're one and the same.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. And then when it goes further down under violations and penalties, if you look at the penalties, a fine, number one, a fine not less than $50. I looked at that and I thought, that's just not even, a slap on the wrist. I think that those numbers should be changed to $500 and no more than $5,000.
We can do that, and we'll definitely get the legal team to verify that, because I know sometimes those numbers come from actually state statute as to what constitutes the violation and the penalties.
Okay.
But we can definitely add it and verify with the attorney.
Okay. Okay, and luckily, the whole section ends there.
Okay. So I've made those changes. I can send them back out to you guys. Whoa. Anything else you guys want to discuss? Anything? I know the whole fill in the floodplain will come back to after council makes a decision. I expect sometime in December because of when the public hearing will be. Hopefully we'll have a decision then and we can come back to it. What would your next steps like to be? Because I know in December, the commission's looking at prioritizing items for the rest of the year. I believe, I know this is on the list. So how would you like to proceed next?
Well, I'm not sure. Drew wanted us to go through the regs and see what needed to be changed, and we've done that. So I'm not sure what the next step is. In other words, once the council makes a decision, then we have this ready to go back to them, I guess, as the regs change.
Yeah, this would be a second ordinance that would go through and go back to them if the commission so chooses and council so chooses. So it sounds like, maybe next step is at the November meeting, present this, put this on the agenda under the subcommittees and see how the commission wants to move forward with it. Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
LPC.
Yeah, I can make sure it's on the agenda. I just made those quick changes, just as we talked about. And then I'll get that back out to you guys. If I miss something, please let me know. And then I can add that, that information as part of the floodplain subcommittee update for the LPC agenda.
That's for November 18th.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right.
I think we're done.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks everybody for listening and your patience, and then everybody have a wonderful rest of your day.
Okay.
You too.
Bye.
Bye now.
Yeah.